right, going live in 3, 2, 1. What's up, everyone? Hello. Welcome to...
What's going on?
We're seeing JJ right now.
Yeah,
Nice.
Sorry about that.
Well, while we fix that, what's going on, everybody? Welcome, and thank you for joining us for the first episode of the Nooner Nation podcast, a podcast for Nooners, by Nooners, I guess you could say. Let's see why.
There we go. Hey, welcome. Thanks, Bill. Thanks for putting all this together, man. We appreciate it. This is great. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, this is definitely an opportunity for us to broadcast to the Nooners, by the Nooners, for the Nooners, and get something really special started here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so obviously first time around, it was a solid 8-ish as usual.
Yeah, exactly.
And having technical difficulty, not quite sure why my camera's not picking up here.
It's on. You're good, dude. It'll pick up.
Okay.
I see you.
Cool. Well, anyways, so like I said, first episode, Nooner Nation's podcast. People listening now probably already know, but to go into a little bit of a quick story about the Nooner community, back in March of last year, I think we all know what happened. COVID shut the world down. And the good people at the Ross Patterson Revolution podcast decided to go live on YouTube every day. From there, the fans from there that were watching in the live chat every day kind of evolved into a community, the Nooner community, and it's almost a character on that show now, as well as just a huge community of people. I think, if social media has anything to prove, I think there's like 700, 800 people in that community with, close to, 150 ultra active ones. The Nooner community spans across the entire globe. I think there's people from Australia that I've spoken to. There's
India.
Yeah.
Folks from India. Yeah.
There's numerous
Some people from Poland.
Poland, yeah. The Polish guy, yeah. And like I said, there's numerous, private messaging groups of people that have become friends through the Nooner community. There's plenty of small business owners in the Nooner community. There's people that all the way from, guys that change oil all the way to people that trade stocks on Wall Street. So I thought that, we should really get together, have a platform to share some of the stories from the Nooner community. There's so many funny people, so many interesting stories that we really needed our own podcast at this point, I think. So with that, I'm going to introduce the two gentlemen I have with me this evening. I figured since this is our first podcast and my first podcast, that I should get on two guys that are Nooners that have their own podcasts already. So with me tonight are Greg LaMontagne from The Bars Open with Beth and Greg, and JJ Jackson from High and Angry.
Absolutely. Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having us, man. This is awesome. This is going to be, I think this will really be one of those opportunities that you can get a lot of folks on that, there's so many cool experiences that we've had over the past year. The community's grown so much. There's always the usuals, the I don't know, what do you say? I guess the usual players in the whole thing. And that's turned into so many friends, and it's become this friendship across that we've never even met each other, most of us, right? And we ended up doing this, right? So absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy because I started doing my cast. I guess it was this past, late September of last year, and it was spurred on by this. But once people started once I started being active in the community and people started looking at what you're posting on all your social medias, it grew alongside of the thing, and it was really really cool to just be able to connect. So I think this is going to be a great opportunity for all the stories, all these people whom are, active in the chats every day, who are sitting at work, who are playing with their kids, like,
For sure.
it's another outlet, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. And
there you go, Bill. Now we got all three of us up on there. Good deal.
Yeah. So
learning, man. This is gonna be the learning curve for doing any podcast. So similar to me, that's absolutely. I learn a new thing every time I stream.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll bitch at the producer later about not having this all set up.
There you go. But you've only been working on it for 10 hours today. So whatever, dude.
Yeah. So the story behind that joke was we were planning on just doing a pre-recorded show earlier today, and as I was mowing my lawn, I kind of thought, the Nooner community was built off of live chats on live shows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's really what we need to stick to, right? Is the live chats on the live shows. So we kind
100%.
of called an audible at about noon today to go live on YouTube, which I had none of the software set up for, and I've never dealt with any of that software. So there was several panicked text messages to Greg and JJ about how to set this up. I think it all worked. Was the music playing during the intro?
It's working.
Awesome.
Yep, it was.
Awesome.
I turned it up just a little bit. No, you're doing great, man. Absolutely. You'll be a great podcast host as far as doing this, bringing on, and I'll shout out to, or I'll just kind of share with the whole community as overall, right? You don't have to have all the high tech shit to do this, right? Bill, or us as podcasters, we need to have a little bit more. But you really don't need that much. If you just want to stream from your camera, have some earbuds in, you can do this. People can join you, zoom in, and just do it like anybody else, right? So that's the coolest part about this. Anybody can participate.
And it's crazy because it's like, I've shared with you, Bill, and now Greg, I've moved from my garage with no set, or my basement with no set, out to my garage with whatever, and then I promise me you don't want me to turn this camera around because this is my workshop / garage. It's so anybody can set this up wherever they need it set up.
This thing,
and
this goes on a popper on the back of your phone. That's how we started, right like that. Right.
Nice.
So anybody can do this stuff. Absolutely. Right. So it's just.
Is that balsa wood? Did you put that together from an airplane kit?
They are rulers that you get for paint stirrers, dude. And I fucking staple gunned them all together. And I was like, we need something to hold this phone.
Greg, I didn't know you were into such crafty arts and crafts materials there. I can appreciate that, brother. I can appreciate it.
Yeah, that's better than mine. I've just got a neighborhood kid holding my camera up right now for me. So
it's like, hold it still. You're not getting your $5.
He caught me outside the grocery store today, wanted me to buy him beer, and I said, sure, I'll buy you beer, but you got to hold this camera for a minute.
Exactly. That's awesome.
That's a joke if the ATF is listening right now.
Or the police or anybody else.
They're in our chat already.
Yeah, probably.
They're watching.
What are they doing out in the chat? Have you guys been paying attention to that? Thanks so much for tuning in, all you guys.
Yeah, I think Jacob Nickel just told me to start screaming at Hot Bob off camera. So, but yes.
And
go ahead, JJ.
No, I was going to say, and yes, Ruben, I was forced to watch my my alumni, the University of Pittsburgh today, and I had put myself through that mostly for you, Ruben.
Yeah, I watched probably my first full college football game today. For you, Craig, congratulations. The Iowa Hawkeyes put the boot to the Iowa State Cyclones. So I know Greg somehow got insane odds on the Hawkeyes today. So But anyways, moving on, guys. So like I said, thanks for being here. Like Greg said, I mean, I obviously knew going into this that it was going to be something that I was going to continue doing, and if this didn't work out, then I wanted to do something else in podcasting. So I went ahead and bought some decent gear. I mean, I didn't go, I'm not dropping $400 on a mic like they do on the bigger podcasts you see. But I'm a couple $100 and have really good equipment. But yeah, you can do this all, I mean, from your phone, real easily.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And with that, like I really, like I said, I want this to be a podcast about the community. It's not always going to be, Greg and JJ on here. And as things evolve, it might not always be me on here as well. If we find somebody that is good at doing this, like, and I'm not available, maybe Greg steps in and runs a show one week or something, or maybe, there's plenty of people out there, we all know Ruben's got a voice for this,
Right.
So yeah, like
we're calling you out, Rubes.
So if you have a funny story or a topic you want to speak to the community about, go follow us on Instagram and Facebook. You can DM us there. If you want to get on, just get on there, talk about what you want to talk about or tell us what you want to talk about. If you're not on social media, it'd be weird at this point, but I know some people aren't. I don't think Ruben is, to be honest, and that makes sense if you see Ruben.
I was trying to find him because Beth actually, funny thing about Ruben, she's like, what's he look like? I'm like, it's Ruben. So I go to Facebook, I'm like, fucker's not on Facebook. Look at Instagram, I'm like, I don't think the fucker's on Instagram either. I'm like, Ruben, send me a picture if you're listening.
No, he's probably trying to duck facial recognition software.
Right.
It's the select few of us that are privy.
Right? Yeah.
He'll reach out to you.
But
he'll get in touch with you.
But if you're
Exactly.
if you're not on social media, just noonernation@gmail.com. Just shoot me an email. Also, if you have suggestions for the show, by all means, shoot me an email. Also, if you're on the show, like, you don't have to have like a set built at all. That's not going to be an expectation. We do, because this is something we're going to be doing regularly. Greg's new set looks awesome.
Brand new, first. This is the premiere. Literally put the sticker on it today.
I don't know. It's hard to see from those tree trunks hanging from your shoulders, though.
Oh, stop it. You're flattering me.
It's okay, Bill. My set looks as messy as it always has, and will continue to look. So,
and that's fine. Absolutely. You know what? That's the character to the set, though. That's the point.
No, that goes.
It's madness over here, brother.
Right.
It's madness.
So before we kick things off, you two guys, like, how did you spend your day? Kind of a sullen day, to be honest, to start a podcast, but figured today was a better day as any.
No, I'll let you kick off first, JJ.
So last night, this has been every night over the past, 3 weeks now. I guess last night was the same as most nights have been over the past couple of weeks. I've been trying to work to get this family out of Afghanistan. The story is long and just full of crying phone calls and et cetera, but last night, 2 a.m., I get the phone call from my contacts who are helping me with these planes. I'm disseminating information, so my day really started at like 2 o'clock in the morning. I went back to sleep, got up at 4, did some more phone calls, went back to sleep. Kids got us up at 6, as they usually do, because they're human alarm clocks, like I was telling you, Greg.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah.
But, it really set a tone for the day that was, I think I posted it on Facebook. It's like, I'm as, especially having served for my time in the Army, like, I'm as, I guess, flabbergasted that it's been 20 years since 9/11 happened, and and I'm still personally like just mourning that whole entire ordeal and then the follow on after that. But I'm also like so uh just not mad, but I'm like I'm appalled at like the promises that we made after that, that like, you know, we as a country, like we came together then, and now we're like, we have to be able to hold ourselves to account for the promises that we've made. And you know, me as a civilian being on the phone at 2 o'clock in the morning trying to coordinate planes out of Afghanistan doesn't seem like what I should be doing.
Right.
But on a day like this, I mean, what better way to keep my promise to myself, my country, and the people that I know served and that have served with me than to keep on trying to help that become a reality, that we can help them. And so that's what my day's really been like, aside from kids and family and everything else. Like, you know, I had a really lengthy conversation with my interpreter about an hour ago. I talked to him for like an hour and a half, and I was just, you know, just ensuring to him that, you know, our resolve after 9/11, that resolve in a lot of our hearts carries on, you know, and, you know, it doesn't stop at leaving Afghanistan or Iraq or wherever. Like the resolve to keep our promises is at the utmost to the majority of us who hold this dearly in our hearts. So, so that was my day in a nutshell. But
Yeah.
No. I'm optimistic though. I really am. I really am. We made a lot of great headway.
Is there any organization or any people that listeners can reach out to maybe help?
Yeah, for sure. It's been, and Bill, you know this from our chats and everything.
Oh yeah.
But like, you know, it's been, and trust me, brother, you've helped out a lot with me as well, which I'm really appreciative of. But it's been kind of secret up until this point, to where our group reached an impasse about it being secret, because politicians do what politicians do, and they just run their sucks constantly. But you know, Digital Dunkirk, which I've put on a hashtag on my Instagram post that I posted today. Like, Digital Dunkirk is the umbrella group that's supporting the flights that we have coordinated out of Afghanistan for our Afghan allies. And I mean, the greatest thing, I would reach out to them and the politicians that they're leaning on, because the greatest thing about Digital Dunkirk is that we're all there. We don't have any American assets on the ground. We've all been working this problem from our computers.
Yeah.
Whether that's you know, people who work for 3-letter organizations that couldn't use their official capacities to do anything, and they were doing it on their own, all the way down to, you know, let's face it, I'm a broke ass infantryman. Well, what do I know, or what am I involved in? But I mean, I'm on my computer doing the same thing. And
but you're making the connections, and that's the most important thing, right? It's just being a voice, right? You can't do fucking anything else. Be a voice, right?
Exactly. So you know, from that perspective, you know, we've been able to, you know, provide things that I never even imagined, including like millions of dollars from private donors to make this happen for these allies. And you know, it's worked out really well so far. And you know, so reach out to them, because that group was started a long time ago, believe it or not, by service members who were either still in the military or had gotten out, and they're veterans. And I mean, I think they've been around since like 2013, trying to get Afghan interpreters and their families out of Afghanistan. So
what was the name again? Digital Dunkirk?
Yeah, Digital Dunkirk. Because, you know, I mean, we're all, after the movie especially, we're all familiar with Dunkirk and everybody being left on the beach, and all the civilians had to go
and rescue. Nope, absolutely.
Rescue everybody. And I mean, that's how we feel. I mean, that's the feeling that you're getting right now. And so we're working on it. It's something that's still, you know, the wheels are turning on it, but you know, reach out to them. And if you can, reach out to your Congress people, just like, you know, countless outlets have said, you know, the more pressure we can put on these people, the better, especially all the way up to the State Department, because, you know, not to make it too political, but the guy Blinken, like, number one, whoever really actually heard of this guy, and number two, anybody who's seen Robin Hood Men in Tights knows that you cannot Blinken, because that was the blind ass character.
Did you say Abe Lincoln? No, I said A Blinken.
A Blinken. A Blinken. Yeah, dude. No, so I agree. I wrote like our local congressman here. I was just ripping pissed off like a week ago or whatever it was. And he's a Democrat. Doesn't matter. Democrat, Republican, it shouldn't matter. Write them. Flood them with emails and do those. And I mean, we're in Texas, but San Antonio is it's a very blue city, right? So whatever. It doesn't matter. Just fucking flood them with emails. Flood them with your perspective on how you think they're running shit and how they should stand up for stuff that's right.
That's why I tell Cass, I'm like, my local congressperson is Connor Lamb, and I'll call him out because I'm talking to his campaign manager right now, as a matter of fact. But you know, I said to him, I was like, look, dog, you were a Marine, you served. Come on, step up to the plate.
Step up, yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Fucking step up.
So Reed was asking if we, after the show, if I can put the digital Dunkirk information in the show description, and I'll talk with JJ, and if everything's good with that, I'll definitely put that in there. The funny thing about the digital Dunkirk, I actually, in a video I was watching today, found out that the evacuation of the island after 9/11 was the largest maritime evacuation since Dunkirk. So it kind of all goes full circle today.
Yeah, great call out. Yeah, absolutely.
So
and my day was not nearly like, I mean, yeah, it's solemn, and we did a long podcast last night on our show, and we did a big portion of it at the beginning. It's kind of like trying to remember where you were at, right? And we talked about that for quite a while. And I think that was one of the things that I think we all remember, like that moment in time. Like it's frozen in your head. Like I know exactly where I was. I know exactly the entire day. I'll always be able to remember it. But what we brought up, Beth and I brought up last night, was also is remembering the next day, right? And the big point of that was to remember how much the United States and people and communities and local neighbors, everybody, friends and family came together on 9/12, right? So 9/11 is a huge fucking deal, but 9/12 should not be dismissed either, right? And that's the way I think of it. And, you know, of course, I watch the videos and I watch the Instagrams and the Facebooks and all the videos, and it's just like it was there yesterday, or however you want to call it. I didn't have I didn't serve in the military personally. I've got family, friends, a lot of people that are, but really it came down to, it comes down to me. It's like, we're all American and we all had to go through this. And then there's also the side that's like, I looked up the stat last night, and there's like 19 million people have been born since then in the last 20 years, right? That's a shit ton of people that we're not alive, and they've been going through this since then, right? Like they're going through this, I use that in air quotes, right? Like the TSA and all the fucking stuff that's changed, and this is normal for them, right? Before that, it was different. So, my day has been, I'm really happy, and it's a weird day that it's starting on 9/11, but it's also, having JJ on the show, I think, brings some perspective. Thank you for that and everything you're doing, dude. From being prior Army and being able to do those, in serving, and then what you're doing for your friends over in Afghanistan. It all still matters. Everything still matters, right? And I think that's the most important thing that we all have to come together and understand is like, dude, all the bullshit aside, like there's so much turmoil and bullshit and whatever. If you just get rid of fucking social media or media altogether, we're all fucking normal, average people. It's the few percent that fucking stand out and make a big stink, right? So,
yeah. Yeah, that last comment kind of brings me into like kind of my next question. But for that, kind of the same with you, Greg. After I was in the chats with your show last night, kind of reminiscing. And yeah, I mean, I was in 8th grade, so I wasn't that old. So that stat you said, what was it, like 19 million people were born after the fact? So there might be people that are listening to this show. Maybe, they might be a little too young for some content that's going to come out of here, but
it's all right. But I mean, okay, I'm 45, right? So I'm 45. I was 25 when that happened.
Yeah. So if
I like I said, I was sitting in what AP geometry or whatever. Like I was a sophomore in high school. And, it was Tuesday. We were getting ready for, I was lucky enough to make the varsity team on football. And we were getting ready for, we had a big practice that day, get ready for the big game. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting down in geometry class and there it goes. And we didn't know what was going to happen. But to go back to what Greg was talking about, it's like, all the bullshit aside, like, I feel like that resolve and those promises we made to ourselves in the 100%. In the 3 fucking hours after that shit went down, I mean, I made a promise to myself. I mean, you can look back at pictures of me when I was 10 years old. I'm in army fatigues and a red beret, and that ended up becoming my reality at one point. Yeah. And and that was because I wanted it. But when that shit went down, that made my resolve hard steel. It was like, I got to do this now at some point.
Yeah.
So Greg, I don't know what JJ has been telling you. He told me he was in the Coast Guard, so he's full of shit.
Hey, don't knock the Coast Guard. My nephew's in the fucking Coast Guard.
I know. I saw that picture you posted yesterday. That was
dope. The best
photos
ever, dude. I think it's just art class.
Just fucking with
Coasties' lives matter too, bro.
Just fucking with JJ.
He's art class. I'm like, holy shit. So if Joe's watching, buddy, I don't know. If
he was yeah, just fucking with JJ. He's shown me some pictures of his time deployed, and he was definitely over there wrecking heads for sure.
Nice.
But like I said, you mentioned like before we got into this, turning off media and stuff like that. I think it's probably, I'm not going to ask the question because it's been asked so many times already. But I think, and I think everybody probably at this point would agree that with kind of the collapse in trust with mainstream media, like podcasts and individual content creators and stuff is kind of the new media for the world. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, because I mean, like we said, I mean, you don't have to try to book airtime at your like local public, TV station to try to get your point out, right? All you need is an iPhone. I mean, granted, obviously, first world problem saying all you need is an iPhone, but really, like, everybody...
Anything with a camera that can stream, that can hook up to the fucking internet.
Yeah. I mean, or you can, if you really had the resolve, you can find your public library and get on the internet there with a webcam or something,
That's all you need, yeah.
But with that, so I kind of was going to ask you guys, I guess I'll start, kind of why I decided to start this podcast outside of what I mentioned earlier about how just great this community is and how full of, funny and interesting and introspective people. I guess my main driver was a few weeks ago, I got an awesome opportunity to go out to the Field of Dreams game. And I had planned, I was out there with Ross Patterson of, Drinking Bros fame and the new guy. Had to throw that one in there.
Yeah,
I wasn't going to be an asshole and reference Miracle on Aisle 2. But...
come on.
But anyway, so the plan had been, because it's about 3 hours away from where I live, and the plan had been to stay at his hotel that night. About the 6th inning of the game, I got a phone call. Both my boys are sick. My wife is sick. I need to get home. So I ended up leaving about the 7th inning.
3 hours away.
3 hours away after, and I had been there. I'd woken up at 4:00 that morning to get there to help him do some interviews. And then, after by noon, we were having beers and eating hot dogs and
chilling, getting ready
chilling.
To get fucked up for the night.
Yeah, pretty much. So
getting ready to tie one on, and we all know what driving in Iowa is like.
It's literally one highway. The field was off the exit. I get on the highway
from your house. From
my house, I get off that same highway.
You
to get
never
to my house.
Took a fucking left or a right. You just went straight.
Not once I got on the highway. It's just
3 hours.
there. Yep. So that helped in the state I was in, but it also didn't, because I started getting a little delusional. And like I've referenced already today, that there's a ton of just like private group chats and friendships made with people in this community. And like you said, I've never met any of these people in person.
Right.
But I just reached out and said, hey guys, like, I've got a long drive home. I'm crashing. Like, can somebody just call me to keep me awake? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't want to have to sleep in a truck stop and get raped or something,
You are pretty small, so yeah.
I'm scrappy. I'm wiry.
All right.
I wear slim.
Wiry.
I wear slimming colors.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah. Yeah. So I ended up getting a couple of phone calls throughout the night, throughout the drive, some being, some guys like, hey, I got 15 minutes. What do you want to talk about? All the way up to, somebody was on the phone with me for like the last hour and a half. Shout out Gigi. But we,
Gigi. Oh, she's on the boards too. There's so many people on the boards. Yeah. You need to call out.
Yeah. So we ended up having just like one of the funniest, easiest conversations. Because we're all like-minded people, right? At this point, we don't have to have met in person. We all kind of know each other. So the next morning, I get home at 1:30, I think. I'm up at 6 with sick kids the next morning. I just started thinking, I was like, I've been thinking about starting a podcast, trying to figure out what that looks like, what I want to focus on. I was like, why don't I, the Nooners is a huge community. There's awesome people. Like, why don't we do that? So that's kind of where I got my start. Starting with Greg, like what made you and Beth, your wife, decide to start a podcast?
Absolutely. So literally it was March 24th, 2020, right? And this really isn't a brick wall, guys. Just letting you know. It's just
He's getting ready for his next stand-up routine.
Right? Exactly. No, last year we were just, I wanted to do something, right? And it literally goes back to the Ross Patterson show, the Ross Patterson Revolution show, because Beth and I, there's something that Beth and I do every single night. And you could ask her specifically, is at dinner, we specifically for years sit down and eat dinner together. We've always done that, right? Even if it's, and she has this habit of like waiting for me all the time. Like, go eat. I'll be there in a couple minutes. And she's like, fucker, I'm not going to eat without you, right? But we always have these conversations, just over dinner. And one of the things was, it was like, I started thinking, I was like, what do you think about just setting up an iPhone and just going live on Facebook? It was during the pandemic, right? Kind of March of the pandemic. And I started thinking, fuck it, let's just throw it out there. Come up with like 3 things to talk about. The first one I think was 24 minutes long. This streaming, it sucked. It was literally on our back porch. We were in rocking chairs, I remember, and I had a little piece of paper and I had one of these fucking things taped to another fucking thing to, to show the notes, right? And I was like, all right, we can't be in the backyard because it sucks. Let's move it to the garage. Okay, let's do that in July in San Antonio, Texas. Not this. It's hot. It's fucking gross. There's bugs that are gigantic, right? And they're flying through set because we had the garage door open, right? And then I was at that point, I was like, fuck it, we need to build something, and we move it inside. But ultimately the reason was, it was to connect with people. That was the most important part of it. It was I wanted a way to talk to friends, to try and bring, and I think both of us, to try and bring some fun and a little, and I don't see myself as being an entertaining person necessarily, but I was like, there's so much negative shit happening with pandemics and people and fucking dying and all this shit, negative news. I was like, fuck this. We're doing something different. That's the point of our podcast. Like, I try and find weird, strange, goofy, funny. Sometimes we get a little political. Sometimes, you have to talk about some dark shit, right? Like, this is suicide prevention or World Suicide Prevention Month, or yesterday was, or the day, and then this is the month. You have to talk about those things, and that's important. But ultimately, it was like to try and bring some fucking levity to the game, right? Like, we need to have fucking fun. I'm tired of fucking just the environment being like down, right? And I was, fuck that. That's why we created that set. That's why the set is literally I've always pointed this direction, the usual set's right behind this. Created this, in the past couple of days. We're trying to do these different things to bring people together. Have fun, just like you're doing, Bill. Like the Nooner Nation. If it wasn't for the Ross Patterson Revolution last year and them going like 5 days a week, I'm not even talking about like the Drinking Bros. That's a different podcast. The Ross Patterson Revolution, and I'm gonna pull his dick and Jesse's as well, right?
You gonna sit in his lap? You gonna sit in his lap?
Well, that's Julius. But honestly, it was like that podcast really kind of made a difference in like just the day-to-day things. It was something to look forward to, and that's what I hope that like just doing these things. It's something to look forward to on a Wednesday or a Friday night. If you don't have shit to do, fucking come watch, man. Hang out, get a beer. So my diatribe aside, JJ, your turn.
Yeah. I think I started doing Instagram lives way back in, I guess that was like, just being totally honest, I started doing Instagram lives like, it was probably right before George Floyd died. And if I haven't told you this story, Bill, I apologize. I think I've mentioned it in our chat groups, but like, I was getting stopped by our local police while I was ruck marching in my neighborhood. Really? Yeah, it was uncanny. It was one of those things where like, I pay enough to like own a house here. Like, this is a pretty wealthy neighborhood. I live here because who knows why? I don't know. But
because you work your ass off, that's why.
Yeah, I mean, but the bottom line
like everybody
is
else,
like,
yeah.
But the bottom line is like, I got stopped twice in the month of May, and then another time in the month of June while I was ruck marching. And like ruck marching for me, and I don't know if you've seen people like post it, especially after this whole Afghanistan thing went down. It's like ruck therapy, man. Like I put that 65 pounds. I just fucking strapped that Alice pack to my back, and I'm fucking moving. I got my headphones in. I got my Ranger panties on. Don't fuck with me. I don't need no mess. Whatever. Well, I got stopped, and then the one time I actually, they got out the car, frisked me and everything, and I'm like, okay, I need to just like talk about shit online. And with my background, like, I was a theater arts, performance, and philosophy major at the University of Pittsburgh. Not saying, basically that's underwater basket weaving.
After the photo I saw that you sent to me, to Bill and I, it makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's basically underwater basket weaving, but like at the same time, like, I had my Actors Equity Union card. Like, I've always been looking for a creative outlet for what I feel is, it's thoughtful, thought-provoking, and on top of that, what I feel that I do is majority improvised, and I like that. Like, it makes me feel comfortable, it makes me feel in my own skin, and I was like, I need to just put this shit online.
Yeah.
Because that's what people generally are drawn to, is like that organic feeling, right? So I started during the fucking presidential debates. I was like, I'll throw it up I'll hang a TV behind me, I'll have the debate going on behind me, and then the mic, it'll all feed through and it was a mess, and it was totally dark in the room, whatever. But I was like, well, maybe I got more shit to talk about. And, as what I decided on is like, as divisive as some things may be, they are also ultimately hilarious. That's why, I've done several episodes about what I like to call a white good time. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make any proportional sense as to like what really happens, but it's more of a social commentary on, something that I feel inside of me. And to be able to get on and philosophize or, wax and wane about dumb shit and make light of heavy shit, I think that that's what being online has been good for me for, is like, there are people out there that need to feel in confidence with other people whom are unsure of shit. And sometimes they need to laugh about it,
Yeah.
and, that's what, Ross Patterson Revolution, same shit. It's like, the situations and or the subjects may feel uncomfortable, but we can laugh about that shit. Who cares? Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
We're all in this shit. What was that Old Crow Medicine Show? We're all in this shit together, right?
100%.
So I guess starting out, obviously my biggest obstacle starting out was just learning how to do this, how to run the software, things like that. Any of you who have heard me on any live shows know that talking typically isn't an issue. If I have too many drinks in me, you got to cut my mic off because I just ramble. I don't know if anybody saw that 6-hour. Anybody see that 6-hour football draft? Like, I was in.
Hold
Beautiful.
on. Gigi said, hold on, real quick, Bill. Gigi says she likes the Flag Ranger panties, and I'm just gonna.
Oh Jesus!
Oh Lord!
Here we go. Oh, you gotta get your ass up. It's not quite high enough.
You gotta stand on a box or something. There we go. There we go.
Stand on the box. Now you need to make some noise. Make some noise. Nice.
That's for you, for all you nooners out there.
The dump truck.
The dump truck.
Back it up.
So I guess first off, I didn't even ask. What's everybody drinking tonight? And on the live chat.
Right?
Live chat. So tell us what you're drinking tonight, or what you're smoking or sniffing or whatever you do. But I'm Greg. My first time into this Yeti thing. It's my first time trying the Texas favorite of ranch water.
Nice. Yeah, it's good stuff, right?
Yeah.
Super easy to drink. It's kind of like, it's different than Topo Chico or something. It's just lighter even.
Yeah. I've noticed. I like the for during the day, like while I was kind of just doing stuff around the house and working on this stuff. I like the spicy because unlike like White Claws or anything like that, like you do kind of stop for a minute between drinks. So I was like, oh,
Beth goes.
I'm not.
I hear her from downstairs. She goes, ew.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But how about you, JJ? What you got?
I've got the unnamed source that I like to sip on, just intermittently. But actually, Bill, you might be familiar with the big booty beer.
Yeah.
We're big booty beer.
We just got flagged by YouTube.
No,
is that Springhouse? What's the brand?
Look, if
there's no nudity on that.
If the TTB approved it, then YouTube will approve it. Okay.
True.
Listen to Ross and them guys. If they have
Literally,
that hard a time
JJ's ass was just on
getting AF on the can,
yeah.
They got an ass on a can. So, cheers to them. But yeah, it's Springhouse Brewing. It's Springhouse Brewing Company. They're a local Pennsylvania joint. So
we got on the boards, we got, let me go through it real quick. We got Modelo, we've got Whiskey and Coke, we've got 7 and 7, we got Tin Cup and Ginger, we got Bud Light, Coors Light, Jameson, Little Smoke, and always the mushrooms. So People are having fun. People are having a good night tonight. So that's awesome. That's all that matters. That's why I always, whenever we do a podcast, it's like we always say cheers. So cheers to you guys. Cheers to the Nooner. Get yourself a little drink. Cheers to the Nooner group. Cheers to you, Bill, for fucking setting this shit up, man.
Yeah. So back to my original question. What was the biggest obstacle for you two when you first started? And I guess what is still an obstacle now?
Want me to go or you want to go?
I'll kick it off because I got some ideas from you earlier, and I'm gonna take myself up on that and invest in myself. But I'm working on a computer that I've had since 2010. It's an old iMac, and I resurrected this thing. My wife was like, "It's dead." I was like, "No." So I wiped it. I put some new shit in it. I got it all. Did all the jazz, uploaded all the new software onto it, and it runs pretty well. But at the same time, my biggest technical obstacle was having this computer and not being able to have compatible devices, like namely through it has USB 2.0, and the way that Apple makes their fucking products is that you can't just
upgraded.
You just can't install a USB 3.0 in an Apple product. You got to tear apart the whole hard drive to do that. So I was like, okay, I can just get a GoPro and use that as my directional. I know there's a lot of podcasts that use like 2 or 3 GoPros, and they use the Elgato deck to switch between them and whatever. So I got the GoPro and I plugged it in, and it was like, you need USB 3.0. And I was like, shit, why did I get this GoPro? And I was like, well, I can make content with the GoPro. So essentially what it boiled down to is that I recognized for myself, like, I got a decent microphone. I've got decent video. I've got an internet connection, just like we talked about. And for myself, and I'm sure Greg came to this impasse at some point, it's like, our voices are more like, everybody likes to watch or whatever and like have that interactive experience. But like, if what you're talking about is fucking interesting or remotely relevant, like, who cares exactly if it's in 4K? Like,
right, 100%.
I know people that'll get off to vintage porn.
Right. Like magazine papers
like
all stuck together and shit.
720p.
I never did that.
720p. Okay,
right.
it's like, but it's all about what the experience you're bringing to the table is. And I'm like, well, I can create an experience that's decent enough for the people that are listening, and then build on that with the technological shit afterwards.
Yeah,
it's incremental, right?
Yep.
It's incremental. So
an investment. Yeah,
exactly. And investing in yourself is something that if I were to say that there were any obstacle, and this is just personal insecurities, it's just investing in yourself, while also using your own money to do that.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
So, Bill, I'd add on, and JJ, I'd add on. So with us, like I said, I bought like a basic kit, like a couple mics. Like it was a Rodecaster Pro kit. And granted, it was kind of expensive, but we weren't doing shit anyway. So I was like, "Fuck, we're not going on vacation this year." So
yeah,
whatever,
you're
right?
a couple dinks staying at home.
Yeah, dual income, no kids, right? So we bought that, and then kind of added pieces as we went, right? We still, even when we had that, I still used an iPhone for probably 8 months, and then I bought a Sony 6400 camera.
The 6400, yeah.
Yeah, I bought that, and that's the one. That's not actually even what we're using. I'm using a webcam that costs $100 right now. That I bought at Walmart. I think it was $60 that I bought at Walmart. It's a 1080p webcam that I have mounted onto a tripod, so it's up a little bit higher. My actual camera is behind it, and it's not on, right? So like, you can do different things. Go buy a $20. You can buy all this shit at Walmart. You can literally start an entire fucking web podcast for $20 in a lap, or for maybe $100 in a laptop, depending on your laptop. So we had the original MacBook. I think it was an Air. The fucking battery, like it literally was old enough that like if I disconnected the battery, like the charger, it would die. It would literally just shut off. Replace the battery. And finally, I got a new kind of a high-speed gaming laptop that, you know, I've never actually had a really nice laptop, and that's one I have now. But a couple lights, like you can add these things on. You can get them on Amazon. If anybody's ever interested, you can get this Shure mic. I think was maybe a couple $100, but add it piece by piece by piece. Different mic stands, mic arms. This mic stand's like $15-20, right? Find cheap shit and find a way and work around it. This cloth here, it's just a backdrop, right? It's $15 for this shit, right? I had a sticker made, fucking $5, right? You can do all of these things that look really cool for cheap. Now the table, this is actually branded. The bar is open table, and I can't really share it, or show it, but I've sent out some pictures earlier. The technical part, yeah, even as of our podcast last night, is always going to be a challenge. I don't foresee it fucking going through a month without having a fucking issue in the technical side. Last night, Restream died on me. Kicked off my Facebook. I had last minute, that's why we were like 15-20 minutes late starting, right? And I had to go in and reset all the OBS to all of that. There's a steep ass learning curve when it comes to if you want to stream and do overlays and do all of those things. And I'd be happy to teach people or tell people how to do it.
Yeah, I crash coursed that this afternoon.
Literally, it's a crash course. Like JJ and I are taking pictures. Like, this is where you need to click. Click here. Put this here. Do this. And you're doing it. YouTube videos. I literally taught myself between that and Jamie, who used to run the podcast, who I'm grateful for the podcast when he was out in North Carolina. That guy's always giving me great ideas. Like, I just message him, and he's kind of like my podcast guru because he has like 10 different shows that he's managing at this point, producing. So, you know, so that's all the challenging bullshit. You can set up a cool backdrop. You can do all of those sorts of things, right? But the most important thing is, like, for me, it's coming up with cool content, like coming up with something to talk about.
Yeah, that was gonna be what I was gonna ask next, especially like working with your wife.
Aren't I?
Yeah, working. It's like you've done this before. Like you've done this, like I don't know, a couple of times, but working with your wife, and obviously
24 hours a day.
24. Yeah, because now you guys work from home both, right?
Yep.
And you've told me offline before that you two are now to the point where you've separated. You don't even work in the same room anymore. You guys have to have.
We never did actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we've got an office downstairs, and then this. I actually, if you go out to my Instagram, you'll see like I work like right over here, and I've got the podcast. So during the day when I'm like on at work and like my videos going, it's like the podcast background is my work background.
Wait a minute, Greg. I didn't think there was a basement at the Alamo.
I was gonna say, that was gonna be my next point. Was you could always build a studio in the basement of the Alamo.
We could, but we did it here.
I think Pee-wee's bike might still be down there.
Could be.
Sorry.
But no, like, so you know, okay. So going back to one of the original things you asked, I think, which was, you know, like, why did you get into it? One of the side effect benefits of this, and it's going to sound super cheesy, and I've told my wife this a million times, I've told a lot of people this a million times, is the fact that I get to have like a three hours of conversation with Beth one-on-one every week, which is, you know, we get to, and the one of the cooler parts of it is we independently come up with stories, right? Like I'll come up with 6 and she'll come up with 6 stories. So if you watch our show, it's kind of like newsy and fun little shitty, like weird stories and stuff like that. She comes up and then I put them all the notes, but she gives me just kind of like the one-liner of this is the next story. I don't know what it means. And then she's telling me a story and I'm telling her a story about different things. So it really is, it's a fun thing to do, you know, just to have a conversation with somebody and your spouse, right? And it's like, fuck, I'm probably, like you guys, probably very lucky to have that opportunity to just, like, it transcends just sitting at dinner and having a one-on-one conversation to coming up here and talking literally long form. Last night was an hour and 40 minutes that we shot the shit about all sorts of stuff, off topic, on topic, with you guys, with the Nooners and with everybody else. So, it's I appreciate it, and like I said, my wife and I, we've been working from home, every day since all this bullshit started. She's downstairs, I'm upstairs. Sometimes we don't talk all day because she's in meetings or I'm in meetings on Zoom or, like this shit all day long. So, it's a break for a couple of nights,
Yeah. And then with that, like, I guess what I was going to ask Greg, I guess that kind of answers the question. You guys don't, I'm not going to say luckily, your work circumstances while at home, you guys don't really talk that much, because I can see some people, if they're trying to do a podcast with their wives, would have a hard time even coming up with content because you're constantly talking to each other, or you'd end up like spending it all day and you're like, oh, hey, you're like, nope, don't talk to me. Save it for the podcast.
Well,
right?
if there's fun stories, she'll give me like a glimpse of it. Like, I got this funny story. I'm not going to tell you about it. And I don't want to know.
Right.
So that you have that actual, like the real, I'm looking at the bars open set right now. I'm like, yeah, the actual real reaction from it. You're like, what the fuck? Like, how did that actually happen?
Right.
Like, why is that a thing? Right. Like the fucking 5-pound goldfish ate a dog or some dumb shit like that. You're like, what? Is this real? No,
well, yeah,
of course.
That's
it's on
like
the Mirror, so of course it is, right? It's on HuffPo. Fuck yeah, of course it's real.
That's like me and my wife. I mean, like, outside of what the podcasting thing is, like during the pandemic, like we had to figure out something and be like, how are we gonna make shit funny, amidst whatever the fuck's going on? And I was like, so we were literally doing like daily, like I'd be downstairs in my home office in the basement working, and like we would do daily meme dumps to each other, like
same idea, yeah.
Like, and and I couldn't go upstairs because I was on Zooms or like on the phone.
So you're just sitting there fucking around.
So I was just sitting there fucking around, just like meme dumping her, like, oh look.
And I don't know about you guys, but my like working from home for me meetings got more intense. Like, yes. More meetings. Like when I was at the office, it was less meetings and more like face to face. Now it's just like fucking meeting, like all day long. So you need these, like, we need these breaks, right? And meme dumping is a great idea. Like I got a buddy who's working from my house right now. He works at our company as well. And he's here for some family things, and he does that to me every once in a while. I'm like, what the fuck is he texting me for? But it's exactly what he's doing, because his job is different than mine. He's on calls, taking incoming member calls or listening to calls and stuff like that, right? Everybody needs that fucking break, right? That sector's funny shit. Yeah, you need that levity in the day. That's the same thing as all this, right? We all need fun. I swear to God, like Beth and I do it for each other, but we like to do it just as much. I try and push everybody to the boards. Like, go to YouTube, go to the boards. We call it the boards.
Hit the like button, by the way.
Hit the like button.
Hit the like button.
Hit the notification.
Subscribe.
Do all that shit.
Yeah.
But no, the boards are just as important, because you build it at the beginning. You nailed it. It's like, it is its own thing, right? It is its own kind of community. That the people that are on here right now, Craig and Gigi and Reed and Jacob and Beth, my wife's on there, and Aaron, and I always call him Aaron, Nico and American Rustic Works and Davey and all the folks that are on there, right? And there's hundreds more. They're the people that make the community. Yep. This Nooner Nation community.
Oh,
That's the fucking funniest. That's the funnest part about this.
Yeah.
That's why I like doing it too.
Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of times like a live show will come on, whether it's Ross Patterson, I'm typically, listening to that. But there's times like on like DB Sports, you'll have their baseball show, right? I don't care about baseball particularly.
I'm not a baseball guy either.
But I'm on there.
I'm not even a sports guy for the most part.
I mean, for one, they've just got being entertaining on live YouTube down to a science. But then also I'm like, oh, maybe, somebody to be in the chats. There always is somebody in the live chat.
Yep.
But it's like mountains of information, like, that they have. Like, it's the same reason. Like, and I'll bring up another podcast. You could just call it a fucking TV show, basically. But like Pat McAfee show.
Yeah.
There's people that I regularly am in contact with and comment alongside with during that live stream.
Yeah.
The same way, like, and they're using Streamlabs. They're like all the same fucking broadcast software.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, if I'm in these chats with these people and in these chats and this other, like, and I got something to say, like, fuck it, man.
Yeah.
Put it out there.
Like I've told you, Bill, I've been naked on stage multiple times during
like full frontal, like Kevin Costner.
And not legally either.
We're talking the one show I did, I was naked in a shower scene.
You get a shower curtain though.
With a bunch of other men during a show about baseball, by the way. So
I'm not judging, bro. I'm just curious.
There's no judging to be had.
No, you did it. You lived that whole thing.
4 weeks, 8 shows a week, bro. Come on, man.
However you want to recount your time, on the penal baseball team as a youth, whatever, man.
It wasn't that far off from basic training showers either, though. I mean,
right. Prison, basic training, whatever.
Theater. I mean, it's all the same thing, right?
So before I start getting this thing wrapped up, we've touched on a few things, but I just want to ask, like, anybody that's listening, obviously we have people listening live on the soundboard, but I mean, this will go up on audio. Side note, another learning curve. I forgot to hit record on my Zoom audio device, so hopefully OSB is going to hopefully
record it.
Okay, so there's that. But what
did you hit record on OBS? It's streaming to YouTube, so it's gonna be out there. I'll show you how to do it.
Yeah, you can
I
extrapolate
fucked
the
up
audio.
like that, dude.
You can extrapolate the audio from the video through other software.
So anyways, anybody that, might be listening to the audio in the future, we'll see how that one goes. What advice, if they're just like, I have a story to tell, or I have a passion for whatever, cooking, you can probably do a cooking podcast or something, but what advice would you have for, anyone? I know probably the best piece of advice I got when deciding to do this was actually from Ross Patterson. I obviously, there is no trademark on the word Nooner or Nooner Nation.
Right.
But just like when I do the shirts and stuff for them, I want to get, their blessing first. I don't want things to be weird. So I called him and actually ended up having like a 2-hour conversation with him, which is insane that he even had that amount of time. But his biggest advice after talking through all the technical stuff, he's just like, dude, if you want to do it, just do it. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen?
100%.
He's like, if people don't listen and you still have fun, just keep doing it. Like, who cares?
That has been us, right? So we, like, our biggest shows have been like a couple of hundred views or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like on YouTube, iTunes gets a lot more. Some of the Facebook gets quite a bit more. And I don't. Is it more playthroughs? I don't give a shit about that. Like, I want it to grow, and I want it to just kind of like when we hit like 500 Facebook, followers or something like that. It was kind of cool, like to see that just 500 Facebook people on that following the bars of it. But none of that really matters. It's literally go out there if you want to do something. Just fucking take a chance. Like, it doesn't matter. Do not worry about somebody judging you. There's too much of that shit. Like, if you've got something you want to fucking say, make it fun if that's your thing. Or you could be very serious. You could have a very specific avenue that you want to go after. I don't know. You name it. Like, you're into guitars. I just saw a guitar over the wall. You want to go after, you're into music. You're into a specific thing. Do it. Follow it. Talk about it. Come up with something cool. You're into 80s music 80s movies, whatever, horror. Fucking start doing it. Start talking about it. Make it something fun. Make it an outlet but make it an outlet that's entertaining. But be careful because you could become obsessed, like this guy, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is your whole fucking weekend. And I had to be real careful about that, right? Like Wednesday nights, like as soon as I get done with work, it's from fucking 6 until 9 or 10 or 12 or 1, it's podcast shit, right? So you got to be careful about that. Try and have fun with it, get into it, learn the technical stuff or you don't even really need to. Pick up your fucking phone and start streaming, have fun with it. I think that's the most important part, right? And then you can get really creative. You can spend a shit ton of money or you don't have to spend a shit ton of money, right? I've had the bars open, like engraved and on wood and done all sorts of cool shit, right? Built all sorts, like all the sets that I have except for this table, I built myself because you know what? I love woodworking. I love doing those sorts of things. There's a lot of cool shit you can do. It's not just this. It's also having fun with it, That's my point.
Yeah, man. I'll double down on that. I mean, this originally was one big sign on a big piece of plywood at the beginning, and then I was like, well, I got to move out to the garage. I got to cut the sign apart and take the damn face off, which I also cut out of plywood.
Which is awesome. You made that yourself?
I painted it in my damn.
It's goddamn awesome. Yeah, it's awesome, dude.
This is all shit that I've had in my bedroom, right?
That's exactly every set that I've done except for this one, like the set over there, the regular one. All the stuff there's a couple of things. It's all stuff we've had around our house. It's just putting it into a corner and making it look cool, right, JJ?
Yeah. I mean, like you're literally creating your own corner of the internet where, like, for me personally,
literally.
Yeah, like literally, like this. I moved everything out here in the garage, and like, just like you, Greg, like I'm still sweating out here. I'm sorry, but I'm just still sweating out here. That's okay for me though because I like to sweat. It's cool, but it's literally like I've got a voice and a perspective, which I think is whatever it is, and other people may not think so, but
that's fine. Yeah, that's the way I look at it. Like, you won't agree with me. That's fine.
It is what it is, and I hit sometimes, and I miss
a lot,
all
like
the
this
time.
Oh yeah,
and that's okay.
I would add on to that, JJ. That exact kind of sentiment is: don't worry. Like, you don't want to intentionally offend somebody, right? We're not looking to do that, but if you do, then maybe you're saying something right.
Yeah.
Kind of one of those things, like, hey. This is a piece of wood, and somebody's like, no, it's not. And you're like, well, it's a fucking piece of wood, right? And if they disagree, that's on them.
Yeah, and then don't listen. That's all you got to do, right?
Don't listen. Delete. You don't need to follow me. I don't care.
Delete.
That's an have a good time.
Delete.
So guys, where can, starting with Greg, where can everybody find you?
All right, you can find Beth and I out on The Bar is Open with Beth and Greg on iTunes, Spotify, and now Amazon. You can download it through any of those. Also on YouTube at The Bar is Open with Beth and Greg. And then also, if you want to follow us on Facebook, some people are still on Facebook, you can find us the same place, Beth and Greg. You can also find my personal one at Greg_LaMontagne at Instagram, rather.
Awesome.
And you can find me. I'm high and angry. Trust me. If you research the background of it, it's about a haircut. I sent the one chat group. I'll post more pictures about it. But it's about a haircut.
Just share the one you shared today. Please do.
The Halloween
it's about
one.
A fucking haircut.
No, the Lenny Kravitz.
Oh.
I'll share the Lenny Kravitz one too. That's my wife met me during that phase. That's why she loves me so much.
Yeah. It makes fucking sense.
So it's at High and Angry on YouTube, Instagram, FaceBase, and then I'm trying to figure out. I've got all the audio extrapolated from my episodes. I'm gonna dump them at some point, so look out for that.
Right on.
Right on. Well, hey guys, thanks a lot for joining us. Everybody in the chat, like, hey man, I hope you had fun. I mean, that's the point of this. That was why we made the final decision to go live, is because it's fun for the chat, and that's what grew this community. And hopefully it helps the community for this podcast grow even bigger. As far as us, obviously, subscribe to the YouTube page, hit the little bell so you know next time when we have a live show. Hopefully, trying to figure out some scheduling. I know there's college football on, tonight. Everybody thinks I'm crazy for doing Saturday night. But, I figured college football. Nah, that's what I said. I was like,
they're not getting paid anyways, Bill.
Yeah, Reed was like, there's college football on tonight. I was like, yeah, so tune in and watch something better.
Yeah, they ain't getting paid.
Fuck yeah, that's exactly it.
Yep. So
Podcast.
yeah. So exactly. Right now, this being the first episode, there's not going to be any audio out on iTunes, but there will be. So keep an eye out for that. iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, all those, Apple, and go to or find us on Instagram at Nooner Nation Podcast. And because that's probably where, at least for the time being, a lot of the information and announcements and stuff are going to come from. So definitely go follow that page. Also, I think I'm playing around with a thing. Like I said, I want to get people through here. I'm sure you guys are going to be on the show plenty. But I'm kind of messing around with some stuff like through Instagram. Maybe like on the Instagram stories, posting like a funny topic or a question, like is soup or is cereal soup kind of thing, and who cool. Like maybe get like the two most smart ass comments or something. Get them. Yeah.
So I would add into just that thing is if you put something out there, like be ready for Bill to come in and be like, motherfucker, you're coming on the show.
Yep.
Like if you commit to Nooner's Nation's podcast and you put something out there, you like dive in, right? Even if it's 15 minutes and you do a quick thing, like that'd be rad.
Yep. So definitely, go follow the Instagram page, Nooner Nation Podcast. That's all I've got, guys. Thanks for joining.
Thank you so much for having us. Congratulations on your first podcast, man. This is awesome.
Mr. Bill.
Cheers, boys.
Applause to you.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Everybody on the board, thank you so much.
And I promise I'll get better.
You're going to be great, dude. It's going to be awesome.
Another thing, I forgot the tagline for the show is that drinking, drugs, and nudity are not only acceptable, they're encouraged.
Oh, well, shit. I got to hold on.
Hang on. No, put your dick away. Don't put your dick away.
Cut the
podcast.
Yeah. All right. Well, before JJ pulls his dick out, good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.